Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism. It's been a long time, but it just feels like I was in the holiday mood. Let's do an Am I the Asshole, shall we? And this is a good one because it's got a holiday vibe. So, here it is. This is a 30-year-old woman who's been together with her husband, who's 31, for 7 years. They were married for 3, dating for 4. My mother-in-law has always hosted Christmas ever since I've known him. I've always made lasagna for Christmas and other special occasions. I'm essentially the family lasagna maker, and I honestly don't really mind since I love to cook and bake. However, last year, my mother-in-law decided to make lasagna based off what she saw me doing when she was at my house and a recipe she got off the internet. I was surprised that she prepared a pan of her own, but didn't say anything, and I even got a small piece. It did not taste good, and it was barely touched, while mine was almost half gone near the end of the dinner. That infuriated my mother-in-law, and she wound up doing a rant about how everyone loves me more than her and tried to throw my lasagna in the trash. You gotta love the holidays. And I say tried because it mainly ended up on the floor. My husband and I quickly left after that, and my mother-in-law has not apologized for it since. Yesterday, she called me to confirm what I was making for Christmas this year, and on her list of things I should make was lasagna. I politely said I wasn't going to make lasagna due to last year's incident, and I'd be happy to make anything else. My mother-in-law wasn't as polite and called me vindictive for refusing to make the lasagna over a small mistake. I just refused again, and it made my mother-in-law angrier. So she told me that unless I show up with lasagna in hand, she wouldn't let me be at the Christmas celebration. That sounds like a great way to get out of it. My husband says it's easier to just make the lasagna to keep the peace, and I shouldn't hold my mother-in-law's mistake that she made out of anger against her. Word got to my sister-in-law and brother-in-law from my mother-in-law, and they're saying I should also make it, even if it's just half of what I would usually make. Okay, so this is such a good holiday one, and this one it captures it all, right? Because at the core of this, we'd like to think this is just pettiness, and that's where a story like this gets misunderstood. The mother-in-law's behavior was absolutely unacceptable. There's something, mother-in-law, I don't know if mother-in-law is narcissistic. I don't have enough here. She's certainly entitled. She is dysregulated. She is ungrateful. And she is also deeply enabled, right? So whoever this sibling, I don't know if the sister or the brother is his sibling, but at least 2 of her kids are deeply enabling her, right? And she even says here that I shouldn't hold my mother-in-law's mistake that she made out of anger against her. I don't know that it's holding it against her, but it's saying that why would I do this again? Because basically this is how these patterns remain entrenched in narcissistic family systems. I was actually helping a family member through one of these situations recently. And so the mother-in-law's behavior is absolutely unacceptable. The person who posted this was at that crossroads where all of us often are in these situations, especially when it's a family situation involving a holiday. And we know that the holidays bring up this sort of ridiculous, nostalgic emotion, like the stuff people can get away with during the holidays, they cannot get away with at other times of year. But the crossroads is this. Either this person who made this post, who wrote this, could either say, I'm not doing this again. Like, I am not, you've set precedent here for what happens. It's not like the mother-in-law apologized. The mother-in-law had apologized and said, my behavior last year was reprehensible. Your lasagna is wonderful. And she tried to reach across the aisle. Even still, I would understand why this person wouldn't want to get into it. But that's not what happened. All she said is, this is what you're bringing. Entitled again, right? And so this woman, never having received an apology, very wisely is thinking, I'm not doing this again. I'm not setting myself up. That's path 1. Then you may be wondering what's path 2. Some of the people commented sort of highlighted what path 2 was. There's actually a path 2, 3, and 4 here. But, one would be tell the husband, you want lasagna at this meal? You make the damn lasagna. There's the internet. Go figure it out. And so that would have been one way to sort of stick it to the husband, say, I am not enabling. I'm not going to be part of this enabling universe, right? Or get a frozen one and stick it in the oven and say, have at it, right? I'm not giving this dish that I love to make to a person who is so undeserving. But this is the crossroads we often find ourselves at in these relationships. Do I make my point? Do I feel heard? Do I say, I am not doing this? This feels like disrespecting myself. The one thing that she doesn't seem to be doing, she did keep refusing, okay, which is fine. She refused to do it. That with a narcissistic person, or entitled person, or whatever this mother-in-law is, rageful, dysregulated person is, they're going to keep leveling up. It's very interesting what mother-in-law did. If you don't bring the lasagna, don't come. Tell me that's not every gaslighter ever, right? If you get into it with anyone who is toxic, dysregulated, whatever they are, entitled, you're not gonna say, I'm just not bringing the lasagna. They're always going to pull out that last card and say, then you're not coming, right? So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think we have the follow-up here. I don't think we have the follow-up here about whether or not what she decided to do with the lasagna or not. I guess this is coming up. It's not yet Christmas yet when I'm doing this. So we'll have to find out. I'll have to look for her response. The challenge is if this poor woman shows up with the lasagna, basically it's taking the wildfire of this mother-in-law's entitlement and dysregulation and dropping all of the accelerant in the world on this fire, right? That's the problem. However, the other option, and this is again, what's the only way you can really beat a narcissistic or entitled or grandiose or arrogant, difficult person at their game? You have to be willing to play the poker hand all the way through, right? You have to be calm and cool, even if you're bluffing your hand. But in this particular case, it may mean this woman doesn't go to Christmas. And when the stakes start climbing, am I willing to miss an entire holiday dinner, right? Am I willing to fall into this much conflict with my husband and with the other people? And by the way, the husband has really done a dirty on his wife. Listen, pick a lane, buddy, and it really should be the person that you're planning on spending the rest of your life with. That already you can see how much the son has been enabling the mother, probably scared of the mother when he was a kid, and is relenting and is choosing the wrong lane, and he's actually hurt the connective tissue of his relationship. But is this person who wrote this willing to face that struggle with her husband going forward, perhaps lose other family ties to these brother or sister-in-law, not being Christmas? I don't know if they have kids, so would the kids miss out on something? So there's all these layers. And what happens is over time, we, as more balanced human beings, do these calculations and say, oh my God, fine, I'll bring the lasagna, though I really do mean she should make the husband cook the lasagna. The husband cooking lasagna feels probably like the best play because no one should be eating this woman's lasagna at Christmas time. But what this particular post reminds me of too, number one, is why the holidays are so fraught. Because in many ways, the most entitled, toxic people have these big, big plays they're willing to make. And because most other people want to make this day work, they will often relent. But it's also a reminder of something that's quite interesting. It's out of the theoretical research. I never thought I'd take an Am I the Asshole and take it to teaching about narcissism. But what we do know is this. We talk about all these subtypes of narcissism and bad behavior and all of that. Like I said, I don't know if this mother-in-law is narcissistic. But the one ring to rule them all, the one central pillar of all narcissism is entitlement. Frankly, show me entitlement, I'll put some good money on that bet. I really will. That this person's narcissistic. Some of the other stuff, arrogance, admiration seeking, I might say, I need to smell this a little more. This might just be insecurity. You show us that entitlement, though. That's absolutely a bet we should take. In fact, so if anyone ever sat me down and said, give us one red flag, you have to give us one flag, it's entitlement. All day, all night. That's it. But in this particular case, clearly the mother-in-law is not only entitled, but dysregulated, which, like I said, it's a decent bet to take in this case, that what this person's personality is about. But if this woman shows up with the lasagna she's made, she's pretty much codified this dynamic in perpetuity. If indeed this poor woman wants to be at the Christmas dinner, this is a no-brainer. Take the husband to the grocery store, or get better, yes, don't even take him to the grocery store. Give him a list and say, here's an easy lasagna recipe, have at it. And I will come. And then lasagna will walk in that door. In some ways, because this husband is a enabler, emboldener, and perpetuator of this dynamic. For him, bringing the lasagna, his wife's lasagna, means he doesn't have to deal with his mother, right? That negative reinforcement. Do what they want and lift the terror. If indeed he wants that reward of not having to deal with his mother, then he's going to have to do a little bit of work for it. And then they get to walk in the door. But entitlement during the holidays is what's going to ruin many, many people's whatever holiday dinners they're having for the next few weeks. And so when you see it, you know what you're dealing with. I do admire this woman. She is engaging. You know, I'm not a big fan of engaging, but I don't think she's engaging as much as saying, I've got a boundary here and I'm not doing this. I actually admire that. However, what's not clear to me is where now that this woman is actually pushed, the mother-in-law's pushed all her chips to the middle of the table, how this daughter-in-law is going to respond. I, for one, kind of hope she holds her ground and eats lasagna by herself on Christmas night. So whoever you are definitely not an asshole. Enjoy that lasagna and do not relent to her. Good luck, happy holidays, and thanks again.